I tried to pick up the glass from the nightstand, and immediately, as he saw me, he started to sit up again. No need to move from there. I stopped him immediately. But Jungkook, I I cut him off in the middle by showing him my palm. I took the glass and filled it with water. See, I can do these things my own. They made a face and lay down back on the sofa. I lie down on the bed and then drift to sleep soon. 3 days have passed. The days were getting quite tough for me. It's really hard to see him like this. At first, I feel a little awkward, and on the first day, he came shirtless in front of me. To be honest, when I see him half naked, I feel a knot in my stomach. What perfect pair of abs he has. His muscles are perfect down. He's in a mixture of hotness and perfectness. My fingers were literally shivering while I was massaging his back. Every time I tried to pull myself away from him, a little something happened that pushed me closer to him. I have been applying it on his body for the last 3 days, but every single time I touch him, I feel the exact same feeling every time. Apart from all this, I have been feeding food him myself every day. Despite such a bad situation, everything was still manageable, except Jungkook. He's craving more and more every day for his father. He cries a lot before sleeping. It difficult him to handle. It was pretty obvious why he was behaving so. Not a single day has gone so far that he has not reminded this away from his father. This was his longest, although I tried once to show him Jungkook from outside the room. But as he saw him, he started to cry even more and jiggle in my arms. And today was yet another day. It's noon right now. He sleeps sometime after I feed him a little. But no one knew how he would react. When he wake up next, I knocked at our door room. Come in there, calm his voice from inside. I opened the door slowly, and it made a creak sound. He was using his laptop, and at the same time his fingers were working. His barely covered chest. I moved my gaze away and tried to stop exploring his body feature. I shifted on the chair, placed in front of him, and stared at him for a few minutes, enjoying watching chunk of voice pull me out of my checking out my husband's session. No, I muttered in a low voice. Why are you working? I asked him as he was working on a laptop this morning. You know, I had an important meeting. I had to make a presentation for it. He replied, still looking at his laptop. At least, don't stress yourself in this condition. I'm not stressing, Dave. Yeah, quite visible. It is, I said, making an angry face. Now, you're behaving like a typical wife. I think he spoke absent-mindedly. Because as soon as this word were left his mouth, he looked up at me with a silent face and muttered, Sorry. Even if he spoke it without thinking, those words gave me goosebumps. I don't know why, but they did. I remained silent and looked away. I wanted to smile, but I wasn't able to do so. Suddenly, Jungkook's voice hit my ear. He was crying. Jungkook looked at me, and I looked back at him. I stood up from my place and left to pick him up in my arms. He was sleeping in Minnie's room. In bed, little Minnie was trying to stop him crying. I stepped forward and took him in my arms. Jungkook hugged me and slept with his head on my shoulder. I patted his back slowly and tried to smooth him. He was crying silently. Calm down, my baby. I tried to calm him. Appa, he muttered while crying. My baby wants to meet his father. We'll meet him, maybe. Please stop crying now. But he's still crying. I took him toward our room and stood with him on the entrance of our room. Jungkook gazed fell on crying Jungkook, and he tried to get up from his place immediately. But I stopped him by showing him my palm. Please, don't come near him, I pleaded. He stopped on his way and stood near his bed. Jungkook saw his father and started struggling to get out of my hold. I held him tightly and balanced him in my arm. Appa is here only, son. Please. Jungkook pleaded, looking at me. Jungkook was fighting to get out of my arms. He was yelling out loudly. I wasn't able to handle myself after seeing his condition, and my eyes turned teary. I moved my gaze toward Jungkook, and what catch my eyes was his eyes were red and wet. As his gaze fell on me, he looked away and wiped off his tear. I sat down on the floor right there at the entrance of our door, and Jungkook is in my lap. I don't want Jungkook to get sick too. I was patting his back slowly. Seeing you sitting on the floor, Jungkook sat on the floor too, by the side of the bed. His eyes were still red. I looked at him and shook my head slowly. He nodded his head and kept sitting there staring at us. After some 15 minutes, Jungkook stopped crying, and I looked at him. He was sleeping peacefully, his eyes closed on my lap. I caressed his hair slowly and kissed his forehead. I moved my gaze to him, and Jungkook was staring at both of us with his two eyes. I stood up from my place and moved toward Minnie's room. Minnie was sleeping on the bed. I looked around the room to search for him, but and I moved my gaze a little toward the sofa with double the speed. I turned my gaze away in shame. Nam Jun Hyun was sitting on the sofa, and Jin Hyun was sitting on his lap. He was holding his wrist tightly and hugged him while they both were laughing over something. I knocked on the door slowly and pretended to cough a little. They stood up surprisingly from their position, and Hyun looked away my direction out of shame. Jin Hyun came running toward me and asked in a nervous tone, mm, what happened there? Do you need something? I gave him a smile and patted him on his shoulder. Relax. Sorry to interrupt you both. I laughed. Hyun gave me a smile. Hyun, I muttered. Yeah, give him to me. I take care of him. He took Jungkook in his arm and placed him on the bed. We both were sitting on the edge of the bed. I held Jin Hyun's hand. Hyun, I'm really sorry. I know you must be facing problem because of Jin Hyun, who was standing behind Jin Hyun. We spoke quickly. What are you saying, Tay? Isn't he my son too? Don't. I have the responsibility toward my family too. I gave him a smile. Janelle cleared the back of my palm with his thumb slowly and said, They, you don't have to think about all these things. Please. I nodded my head and smiled. He gave me a side hug. I came back to my room from there. Django was still sitting on the floor,